I haven't actually theorized myself about what I think about 9/11, who was behind 9/11. I don't want to theorize. I want to be the person who's compiling facts and remaining neutral. However, if we look at the theories of 9/11, there are four main theories we can say about what the Bush administration did or didn't do on 9/11. The first one is the official theory. The Bush administration supposedly did as good a job as could be expected. As the White House press secretary said, there were no warnings at all. There was no way the attacks could have been stopped. The second theory is incompetence, that's why the attacks weren't stopped. Third one, some level of foreknowledge by the Bush administration. And the fourth one, some level of direct U.S. involvement in the attacks. Now, of these four theories, we can clearly say that the first theory, the official theory, is untrue. There were so many warnings that one government official called the level of warnings in the summer of 2001 unprecedented in U.S. history. To give you just one example, 2 days before 9/11, Osama bin Laden called his stepmother and told her, quote, "In 2 days you're going to hear big news and then you're not going to hear from me for a while," unquote. This story appeared in the New York Times. This call was quickly intercepted and translated by U.S. intelligence, and in fact there were other calls from Osama bin Laden himself in the days before 9/11 talking about the upcoming attacks. From that one warning alone, we should have done something, should have sent out some sort of warning indicating something would happen on the day of 9/11. At least there would be a chance something could happen. And these warnings are just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many warnings, you can't even count them all, including about a dozen from foreign governments. Many warnings specifically talking about planes being used as weapons. We know that Bush, President Bush himself, and other people high up knew about many of these warnings. It wasn't just that Bush got this one warning, the bin Laden determined to attack in U.S., the famous presidential daily briefing. He actually had many daily briefings that were very similar that we still know little about. The 9/11 Commission summed up some of these other warnings like this. They said, they consistently predict upcoming attacks that will occur, quote, on a catastrophic level, indicating they would cause the world to be in turmoil, consisting of possible multiple but not necessarily simultaneous attacks, unquote. That's from the 9/11 Commission. So the Bush administration knew something really catastrophic was going to happen. Furthermore, they were being told by many people that this would happen in the United States. For instance, Bush's counterterrorism czar, Richard Clarke, he warned, quote, "Something really spectacular is going to happen here," meaning inside the U.S., "and it's going to happen soon," unquote. One top CIA official said in a public speech a month before 9/11, quote, "We are going to be struck soon. Many Americans are going to die, and it could be in the U.S., unquote. So, there was ample warning, something should have been done. But what did the U.S. actually do in response to this unprecedented threat? How did they prepare? Not just against planes as weapons, but against any kind of attack. The fact is, they didn't do a single thing. For instance, Transportation Secretary Norman Mineta, he's still the Transportation Secretary, he said, when he was asked by the 9/11 Commission, quote, "Did the higher level of terrorist chatter before 9/11 result in any action across the government?" unquote. He was asked this. His response, no. The 9/11 Commission concluded after the famous August 6, 2001 bin Laden determined to strike inside U.S. memo that neither Bush nor any high government Bush official had any kind of meeting to talk about this threat and discuss what to do in wake of that briefing. So, there were people who could have stopped 9/11. The airport security people, airplane pilots, immigration officials, military responders, local police. None of them were given any kind of special warning. Not only that, they were actually misled. For instance, the FBI, which was well aware there was a high threat level, they told state and local law enforcement in the summer of 2001 that the terrorism threat level was, quote, low, unquote. So we should be angry. No matter what theory you subscribe to about 9/11, incompetence, foreknowledge, whatever, you should be angry. If it was incompetence, which is the best case scenario outside of the obviously untrue official story that there is no way the attacks could have been stopped, then in my opinion, it was a case of gross criminal negligence, not to set up, at the very least, some kind of basic defense and take some basic preparations against some kind of attack. But there was nothing. Gross criminal negligence is a criminal offense. Yet many people, including maybe even some people here today, give Bush essentially a free pass on 9/11 and don't press the issue for fear of being tainted with the conspiracy theory brush. As a result, 9/11, the worst intelligence failure in history, is not considered Bush's greatest failure, but rather is considered his greatest triumph. The poll numbers surged in the wake of 9/11. People, unfortunately, are extremely misinformed. Polls showing up to 70% of the people think that Saddam Hussein was the 9/11 mastermind. 9/11 has been used to justify just about every aspect of Bush's policies, from the war on Iraq to even changing Social Security. So, if you don't like Bush's policies, if you don't want to see them implemented, don't forget the core issue that makes all of his popularity possible and his abilities to pass policies on issues about all kinds of different things. 9/11 is just as relevant as ever. Activists working on any issue need to help challenge the official story of 9/11 and cut down the core myth upon which the Bush administration justifies its policies. Thank you very much.